Hello everyone, thank you for joining me. If this is your first time or this is your manyth time, I'm starting to feel a little bit better by videotaping myself because naturally when you hear your own voice you think it sucks, so I'm just dealing with that, so it's fine. This is a class that is going to be a very basic yoga based class that's designed to improve your posture or just the general feeling of how to engage and bring awareness into your posture. So start off by, you can do this seated or standing, and just really slump as best as you can. Just like when you're really on your phone and you're hunched and you're slumped, and just take a moment to feel how gross it is and how icky it makes you feel with that. You can do it standing as well, just kind of, it's like you're kind of melting into a puddle. Gravity is basically pulling you down. And then do the opposite of that. So feel your feet pushing down into the floor. Stand up, so you can feel a bit of a lengthening of the low back, a soft bend into the knees, and then lifting up of the chest. So these 2 points kind of move away from each other. And it almost feels if you're trying to stand up nice and tall, like you're in like a military stance and your shoulders draw back, your chest lifts, and it's awkward. But see if you can do it that it feels easy and natural. Like you do the awkward version first and then you relax a little bit. So try to lift the crown of the head and descend your feet into the floor at the same time. So you can feel right away that there's a sense of effort and a sense of ease at the same time. You're not gripping or holding anything in your body. You just require that touch of effort. There's no like sucking in or anything like that. But you feel like a pillar. Good. Now start our practice onto the floor. I recommend sitting onto a pillow. Maybe 2 pillows if you're feeling tight in the low back and the hips and things. Because when you sit and cross your legs, a lot of people, their knees will be up here. The low back will be slumped over like this. And you want to be able to sit so that your pelvic bowl can kind of not rather tilt back, but almost tilt forward in that way. And your knees are in line or descending away from your hip bones. And I like to turn the shin bones, so the tops of the feet onto the floor, heels in, kind of lean forward to give you that momentum. And then you'll feel that your low back can come in and up here. If you're not used to sitting on the floor might be really awkward, and I encourage you to practice it a lot. Even, if you have a small coffee table, start eating your dinner on the floor instead of on the chair. It will really train you how to sit upright. Even if it's uncomfortable for a while, it will start feeling more natural. It's like the best thing that you can do, sit on the floor. You can always sit kneeling as well, which we'll do next. So cross-legged to start. Lift up through the sternum bone without trying to flare open the rib cage. So you're finding this lift, but your lower rib cage is kind of softening down. Shoulders draw back. Even the neck is long. We often poke our heads forward here, which gives us a lot of tension in the back. So draw the ears back so you can feel that your head is basically over your hips rather than leaning forward. It might feel really strange now, but with time, it feels normal. Close down your eyes, take a couple of breaths, and just feel your body in this position, all the sensations that are happening, any part of the body that's talking to you. And if you notice that you're already starting to slouch, can you sit up straight again? Keep drawing the shoulders back so that the collarbones can get longer here. And the very base of the skull, that little sticky out bit at the back, is lifting up gently. Feel your breath in and out through the nose and the rise and fall of the belly with the breath. So you're breathing in through your belly rather than just up high into the chest here. So send your breath all the way down. And just take 4 more here. Nice and smooth and slow. Think about with every inhale, you're giving yourself that lift and length in the body. And with every exhale, you're softening something and relaxing. So keep the length in the spine, just tuck your chin in, place your hands at the back of the head, and then draw your elbows towards each other. So keep lifting the spine. You don't want to pull the head down and crunch, but you're still lifting and leaning back, and you're just getting a stretch to the back of the neck here. Spine is tall. It's really hard to talk like that. Elbows draw in. And then do the opposite of that. So fingertips will come down behind you somewhere. Squeeze the shoulder blades in. Puff up the chest. And if it's comfortable, you can look upwards. Just whatever's good for your neck and your throat there. And then release. So you're up nice and tall again. Right hand will come down to the floor. I'm not mirroring you, so do the opposite of mine. Check where your right hand is. Left arm, reach it up. Draw down into that left side sitting bone or hip crease. Reach up nice and tall, lean over. And then this right shoulder can come down away from the ear. The elbow can draw in towards the hip. And roll the chest open. Look up if that's okay. If your neck feels a bit strained, then you can go look down or whatever. Super, super big stretch in the left side body. And then on your inhale, come up. Right arm lifts, left arm descends. Exhale the other side. So drop the bottom shoulder away from the ear. Turn the chest up. Push into the right sit bone and reach through the right fingers. Your inhale will bring you up. Exhale over. Inhale to reach up tall. Exhale, side bend over. Inhale back up. So right knee's gonna stay bent, left leg will reach out. Turn towards your right bent leg, fingertips onto the floor, lift up really tall. And then lean over to that straight leg, flex through the foot, reach out through the heel. And then you can put your elbow on or in front of to the inside of the thigh. Right hand can come to the hip. You should feel a big stretch in the side body again. If you want, you can take the arm out behind you or reach it straight up. Or if it's okay, this is getting a little bit more deep, reach it overhead. You can even grab hold of the head and rest your head in your hand here. Ground down through that right hip, right sit bone, reach out through the left heel. Turn your chest up. On your inhale, come up. Plant your right hand down. Come onto the sole of the left foot and then right up onto that right shin. Move your pelvis forward. Reach your top arm up. Push the bottom arm down. Lean back, lift the chest. Breathe in. And then have a seat. Swap sides. Left knee bends, right leg stretch it out. You're onto the top of the foot here. Twist towards your left knee, so fingertips on either side. Lift up through the chest, stretch out through the right heel. Inhale. And just side bend over to the right, sort of bringing that elbow to the inside of the knee there. Hand will stay to the hip. So we're moving in these progressive stages, and if something is too intense, you go back a stage. If it feels okay, you can explore going further. So start with the hand on the hip. Maybe take the arm behind you, open that left chest out. Maybe reach it straight up, push down into that left hip. And then if okay, reach overhead. Still turning your chest up. So I think the elbow is nice on the inside of the knee because you can use that to turn up here. So it's a side bend and a rotation of the spine. If you want, you can place your head in your hand and actually rest your head so you're not really using your neck muscles. Point up through that left elbow, reach down through the left hip. Come all the way back up. Plant your left hand behind you so the fingers are splayed out a little bit. Sole of the right foot down, come onto the left shin, and find a bit of a back bend here. Push the floor down and away, open up, like a big yawn in the morning. And then have a seat. Nice, we'll come off of that cross-legged position. You can try kneeling. If that's an uncomfortable point for you, you can always sit onto a rolled up blanket or a pillow like this and find a kneeling position. Same thing here. So you're check in with what slumped kneeling feels like, and then sit up nice and tall. Shoulders back, sternum lifts, low back lengthens. We'll reach the arms up towards the ceiling, so stretching long through the side body. Left hand will go over right knee, right arm reaches back. And you can look straight to the wall or behind you. And then inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, the other side. So using that hand for leverage to give you that twist. Inhale, arms reach. One more time each side. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Hands to the floor here. Move your pillow off to the side. Take some cat and cow positions. And if you're wondering why they're called cat and cow, you start off in tabletop position. So shoulders over wrists, hips over knees. Cow is like that moo position. So butt sticks up, belly drops, shoulders go back, chest lifts. And then angry cat with that, that spine that sticks right up towards the ceiling. Move your shoulder blades away from each other. Push your hands into the floor and tuck your tailbone a lot. And then move between these two positions. So you're getting a full range of motion in the spine, arching and whatever the opposite of that is. Curling? Whatever. So the breath in drops the belly, lifts the chest. The breath out, you want to feel this in your core as well. Try to push your hands down and forward away from your knees. As you breathe in, imagine you're sliding your hands towards your knees. They're not moving anywhere, just energetically. Exhale, push the floor down and forward. You should feel that in the core. Come back to a tabletop position here. Nice. And then walk your hands forward. You can even take your knees back and we'll find puppy pose. So hands are grounded and start to sink, melt your chest down. Forehead can come down. And you want to get this idea of trying to bring your chest and your armpits down towards the floor. And this position, puppy position, is cool because it gets right into the upper back where we often find that hunch, and it doesn't make any kind of crunching in the low back. We're not doing a full spectrum back bend here. We're just isolating it in the upper back, which is super useful to many modern people. You can imagine the puppy wagging his tail here. Slowly come back up. Plant your hands again. So tabletop position, it's sort of in between arched and rounded. So your core is slightly hugging in. Your chest is moving forward. Your arms are straight here and your pelvis is level. So you could balance like a nice plate of dinner on your back for somebody here. Now we're just gonna pick up the left leg without dropping our imaginary plate of dinner. And then reach out through the heel so you're lifting up. And you can feel that in the glute and hamstring of that leg there. Lift it up. Tuck the toes down. Spin the heel to the right. And then you can kickstand your right foot out. Reach the left arm up. Our imaginary plate has crashed behind us, but that's okay. So this is a modification of side plank position here. Bottom hand is rolling out. Top arm lifts up. Tailbone has a tuck. You can take the top arm over for some more length through that left side body. Nice. And then come all the way up so you're balancing onto your right knee. Arms reach up. Imagine you're holding like a basketball or something. Find a tuck of your tailbone so you're not dumping into the low back. And then just move over to the side. Try to squeeze that bottom arm towards the top arm. This is getting into a bit of a side crunch position. And then cartwheel it all the way down. Come back into tabletop position. Find your imaginary plate. Maybe a couple of expensive glasses of wine are on there. Nice and still. Without moving anything, without dropping it, your right leg will reach back. Extend through the heel and the crown of the head, respectively. So try not to drop into the belly. The core is on. And the hips, the pelvis is level. Back toes tuck under. Spin the heel down. Kickstand the foot out. Left hand will stay down. Right arm will reach up. And you can take the arm all the way overhead, turn the chest up towards the ceiling. Come all the way up. Imagine you're squeezing that ball between your hands. Super long low back, and then just take it over to the side. Just a little bit here. Come all the way back. Cartwheel it down. And then we'll find a low lunge position. So your right foot's forward, back knee is bent. You can scooch, depending on your hip flexor here, which is often really tight in many people, you want to scooch that knee back as far as you can. And if you have any issues on the knee, you can come onto a pillow here. And then bring your hands up to your front thigh. Put all the weight into the heel, and then start to sink down. If there's any pinching in the low back because of this kind of compression here, just come out of it, re-lengthen the low back, like this tuck of the tailbone shape. And you'll feel a lot into that hip flexor on the left side there. If you're okay to sit in even deeper, go ahead. We'll reach the arms up. Inhale, interlacing the hands. Make a little pointer with the pointer finger. Draw the arms back. Stretch up super tall as you sink down. And then breathe. Come all the way back onto that back knee, and we'll take a twist. So left arm over right knee, right arm goes behind. And then rather than pulling the knee in, push out with the knee. So you're doing the opposite, you're making a bit of resistance here. You're pulling and you're pushing with that hand and knee to give you the leverage for a twist. So come more onto the left knee rather than sinking forward into that right foot. Let's draw the right arm down towards the floor, reach the left arm up, And you can choose here. We'll take a twist. So left hand can come down for a low lunge twist here, like that, which is nice. If you want to take it deeper, you can hook elbow over the knee. I'll come this way. Press your hands towards each other and take a twist here. And you, rather than moving the knee in, kind of push the knee out so you get that leverage. If you feel like that's too tight and compressing, then take the other variation where your left hand's on the floor, right arm lifts up. Nice. Nice. And then with this top arm, or wherever hook you are, come all the way back out of this position. So you're onto your left knee. I'm going to remove my pillow. Bring your hands to your hips. Flex the front foot. And requires a bit of balance here. You could have something to rest on. You can even use your pillow for a bit of support. And fold over. If you balance is fine, you can keep your hands to your hips and just lean. You want to feel the sensation in the back of that right hamstring there. If that's as far as you get and the floor is super far away, just work on that. Keep the chest lifted, just a little lean. If you're able to fold in, you might want to bring the hands maybe to the inside of the foot. And just take a couple of breaths here to feel out the sensation into that stretch. You might want to be able to move back and forward, sway from side to side. Nice. And a common thing I see when there's tight hips and hamstring is that rather than tilting the pelvis forward here, we often have this pelvis stuck in this shape from sitting too much. So the bend will kind of come from this rounded position. So we want to lengthen first, tilt, and even if it's a super micro movement, that's where you are. Cool. So rebend into the knee, change sides with the lunge here. Bring your hands up to your shins. Use the pillow if you'd like, underneath the back knee. Put all the weight into the front heel as you sink down. So we're ultimately stretching the right hip flexor, trying to find some length in the back here. You can tuck or untuck the back toes, up to you. And then we'll add in the arms once you've found where you're at. Add in the arms, interlace the fingers, reach up through the pointers. Draw the arms back behind the head and then lift up. So you have this action of sinking down into the pelvis, but lifting up at the same time here. It's a big, delicious stretch. It's super awesome. Inhale. And then come all the way back onto the right knee here. So you're right on that right side. Find the tuck of the tailbone. Reach your arms up and then take the twist. Right hand over left knee. Reach the arm behind. You can look. Create that resistance. So pull the knee in and push the hand out. Take the left arm behind you like you're trying to reach something down on the floor. Really draw inwards here, tuck in, reach the right arm up. So your option here, hand to floor, left arm up. Maybe you want to hook the elbow over the knee. I like to grab hold of the thigh, then hook, push elbow and knee in, hands together like you're making a prayer position in front of the chest. And then you can lean forward and down as much as you want. You're getting this nice leverage for a spinal twist. Lengthen up through the crown of the head. You're a bit more compressed in the belly, but see if you can breathe. And then unravel. Come back onto that back knee. If there's any sensitive issues, definitely use that pillow. Flex the front foot. And notice right away if you have this tilt in your pelvis when you want to fold. grab hold of these like bony points here, and like you're pouring out a glass of water here, tip forward. That could be a lot of sensation, just that. Then stay there, ground down through the heel, pull the hip back, feel all the sensations. If you're able to come further, I personally like to take the foot off to the side so that you can sway from side to side. You can kind of feel all around the hamstrings there. And you can go back and forth, etc. If you want to use something for some balance, hopefully you have like a more firmer pillow than this one. Draw the shoulders back. Nice. And just move off to the side, rebend into that front knee again. Come on to your back. So we'll sit onto our hands, take the feet up into the air. Draw your knees in, and then push your hands into the floor. Your shoulders are grounded, your head, you're looking straight up. And then as you push your hands into the floor, try to lift your knees, your hips up. Lower them back down, tap your toes down. And then move with this. So push your hands down, try to lift up, lower, go down. Last time. Lift, lower, and tap. And sit back onto your hands, reach your legs up into the air, and just one leg at a time, start to like scissor them back and forth. I have to watch I don't kick my glass of water down. So just one leg at a time. The knees can always be bent here if they don't want to straighten. That's cool too. So resist the urge of bringing the feet too far in. Try to keep them right over the pelvis, and that you'll start to feel that in the lower ab region there. If you want, you can do both feet together. So the idea is to keep the low back down rather than popping it up off of the mat, because that takes it out of the core. So we sit onto the hands to keep that sensation of low back down. And as you tap your toes down to the floor, you should feel all that in the belly. You can scoop forwards and down like that. You can reach the legs up and down. Scoop the knees in, straighten, lower. And after a couple of rounds like that, if you're feeling like you're kind of cooked, hug your knees in, sway from side to side. And then place your feet onto the floor right behind your butt. So you want to be able to touch your heels with your hands. I like to draw the shoulder blades in a little bit. Maybe move your ponytail out the way if you got one. And then lift the hips up. Tuck the tailbone so that that low back can get a bit of length rather than kind of dumping into the low back. You can sneak the shoulders underneath you here, interlace the hands, press the palms together, push the arms into the ground, push the heels down, lift the hips up. So this will just stretch out the belly as well as getting into your glutes and your hamstrings and finding this beginning stage of a back bend here. You can undo your hands, lower down. And I never like to do that pose once. I think you need to do it twice or 3 times. So we'll just do it twice today. Prepare for takeoff. Heels down. Reach the hips up. Wiggle the shoulders underneath. Interlace the fingers. Try to push the knuckles towards the heels. And then lift the chest way up towards the chin. So you're using your hamstring muscles. You should feel them here. If you don't feel them, imagine you're sliding your feet towards your shoulders. Then you'll feel them. Undo the arms, slowly lower down. And after a bit of back bends, it's nice to neutralize the spine with some twists. So take your feet wide, like to the width of the mat, and then windshield wiper your knees. Nice. Just till it feels like it's kind of neutralized, going back to normal. Hug your knees in, grab hold of the backs of the knees and start to rock back and forward. And do this a couple of times. Your mat or your carpet or whatever you're on might move around. A couple of times rolling, super awesome for massaging out your entire spine here. If you can maybe tap your feet overhead, you could try. Sometimes it's nice to take a pillow behind there, and then as you lean back, try and tap to the pillow maybe. Come up, maybe into a hover. Cool. And then we'll sit all the way up. Straighten out the mat. And this part of the core is just one aspect of the core. We still have, obviously, front, side, back. So we'll come onto our belly and suss out the back part of the core. This is often not something that you do in your day-to-day life, so if you never do this, it could be quite challenging. Keep your forehead down. You can sway your hips from side to side just to settle in here. And then point out through the toes, tuck your tailbone, so your pubic bone is into the mat there. Lift the shoulders, take the arms, interlace them behind at the low back, and then just like bridge, try to stretch your knuckles towards your heels on your inhale. So lift up, you can lift the feet up off of the floor. It makes it a little bit harder if you try to bring the feet together, and a little bit better if you separate the feet. Just breathe, and then lower. So I like the interlacing of the hands first to give me that sense of lifting up into the chest. And this, you can stick with that version, or you can make it harder on yourself by imagining that you have like a beach ball behind you and you're trying to pop it. So arms will hug in, forehead down, pubic bone down. On your inhale, lift everything up. Try to reach the beach ball towards your heels and then squeeze it a little bit. You should feel so much happening in your back there. You can look down so the back of the neck stays long. Take an inhale, lift a little higher, release. You can rest on the one cheek. Nice. Bring your hands right beside you so your fingertips are just underneath your shoulders there. Forehead down, shoulders lift, pubic bone down. On your inhale, lift everything up, even lift your hands up. This is like what we call baby cobra here. You can take your arms out to the side, and you can even take your arms forward for Superman, and just we'll cross the opposite leg and arm. So keep yourself lifted, left arm down, right leg down, and then change. If it's too difficult to keep your head up, draw your head back down and change side to side. Really imagine that someone is pulling on your wrist and your ankle diagonally away from the body as you lift up. And that pubic bone pressing down will help that this takes it out of the low back and starts to build the muscles up around the spine. And even tiny bit into the front core. Nice. Slide your hands down, come up onto your fingertips, elbows pointing straight up. You can take your feet out wider here, and then come up into this serpentine cobra. You can wiggle side to side. get it all out. And then lower. Hands will come down, press up into a tabletop position. Walk your knees forward, and we'll come into a squat. So I'll face you. Your feet will be out, your heels in, and as you sit down, you might want to come up onto your heels, especially if you never sit into a squat, and sway from side to side. I feel most people can do this variation of it. If you want to, this is a really bad pillow to demonstrate. You can grab a longer pillow or rolled up blanket or something, place it under the heels so that you can actually sit the heels down with a bit of elevation. And then elbows can come into the knees here. And same concept, you can sway from side to side just to feel out the shape of the way that the leg is moving in its hip socket there. If your feet land on the ground, okay. Another common thing is that the knees want to roll in and we come to the inner edges of the feet, which is really terrible for the knees. I did this for years, terrible. Try to roll onto the more outer edges of the feet. You're using your elbows to push the knees out, and then notice what the spine is doing. Can you lift up here? So this is where lots of like the Asian people just hang out like this a lot, do their cooking and stuff. Westerners don't really do this at all in any day-to-day movements, but if you can include it in a day-to-day movement, super good for your hips. This will give you so much range of motion, mobility to do anything. Play with your kids, pick up stuff off of the floor, etc. Sometimes it's nice to have, like if you have a chair or really sturdy that table that doesn't move, you can hold onto a post and then lean back into it. I'm having an imaginary post because I don't have one. Lean back into it, and then you might find that your heels will touch and you can keep yourself upright like that. Nice. So maybe stay as you are if you're comfortable, or you can pop back up onto your heels again, and we'll find an opening here. So right arm in front of right knee, you can fingertips onto the ground, reach the left arm up. And then change sides, do the other one. Left arm in front. Keep the right knee open as you lift up. Cool. Bring your hands down to the floor. Pick up your heels, spin them out, and then heel toe your feet out a little bit. So you're into a really wide-legged forward fold. Hands can be down if you're feeling quite tight into the backs of the hamstrings. You'll use hopefully a sturdier pillow or something, or even a chair to sway from side to side. If your hands are okay touching the floor, just keep going, move side to side, just feel all the sensations in the back of the legs. You can find a sense of stillness. Always bending into the knees is cool as well, and fold in here. And just really let your head drop. Pretend like you're about to do a somersault, so you're leaning forward, but you're not quite gonna go there. Just that feeling of about to. Even tucking the chin will get in there. If you want to keep the sway, keep the sway. Keep the breath. Bring your hands up to your hips, come all the way up using the strength of your legs. And then stand into what's called mountain pose. So feet hip distance apart, like hip point distance, not like how wide you think your hips are, but like right there kind of thing. Stand with your arms at your side and then turn your palms out so that your shoulders can roll open. And that feels kind of awkward, but just do that to lift the chest, open the shoulders, and then you can relax the arms here. See if you can bring your head right above your hips and your hips right above your feet. And you're standing up as tall as you can with an equal amount of effort and ease at the same time. And then close down your eyes. Do a couple of half sun salutations. Just a few, just to warm up through the body. Not like we're already not warm, but you know. Feet down onto the floor. Try not to think about your feet having an equal balance on your feet. The arch is lifting, but the whole foot is descending. And then on your inhale, reach the arms up. Even lift from the low belly. Look up and forward fold. Bend the knees. Place your chest onto your thighs. And this is, if you're feeling really tight, doing this next movement will go so slow to start to drop your head down. Look inwards. Bring your hands to your shins, take a half lift. Stretch the chest forward, the hips back. And then rebend and fold. Lead with the chest. Come all the way up like you're doing a reverse dive upwards. Hands to the heart. And again, inhale, reach up. Maybe look up if it's all right for your neck. And then fold. Bend your knees. Place yourself onto your thighs. Slowly roll in. Think about that somersault. Take a half lift. Forward fold. All the way up to standing. Hands together. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, half lift like the number 7. Fold and exhale. Look in. All the way up. Maybe look up. Low belly lifts. Hands together, exhale. Nice. Bring your feet together, your knees together. Sit down nice and low. Tap the fingertips down to the floor. And then try to pull the belly, like scoop the belly away from the thighs. Put all the way into the heels. And then lift the arms up. Chair pose. Won't be here for long. Squeeze the knees in. Drop the butt. Scoop out through the belly. Lift the arms up and back. Come up onto your tippy toes. See if you can sit onto your heels there. There's probably going to be some popping, which is all good. Nice. Our balance in this little toe squat here. Sit up super tall. Come down onto your butt. And then lift your feet up off of the floor. So your hands can be onto the floor or onto the backs of the knees. Try to lean your low back in and up. So you're, rather than leaning back, you're coming forward and up, even though you're leaning back, if that makes sense. Draw your knees in, lift your chest. Shoulders are back. And you might feel this mainly in the hip flexors here, or in your core, depending on which is tighter or stronger than which. Place your hands down behind you, so you can splay the fingers out if you'd like, or try to draw the fingers right pointing back towards the butt. Squeeze the shoulder blades in, lift the chest, push the hands into the floor, lift up a reverse tabletop position. So think about lifting everything up towards the ceiling by pushing your hands down and your feet down. Take an inhale and then sit back towards your heels. Come back into that boat position. So you want to land on the sit bones. Come back into boat. So using the core of the support of all parts of your core to give you that lift. Maybe you can play with straightening one leg at a time here. Lower the feet, come back into that reverse table. If it's too sore on the wrist, take the hands out, lift up. Lower. Nice. And then straighten out the legs. This is called staff pose. And that keeps getting all sideways. So sit right onto your sit bones here. And this is that same scenario where it's really habitual. The common way is to start to lean back onto the lower part of or the upper butt more so, and kind of lean back like that. So if you're finding it hard to sit with straight legs and you're leaning back, then you can sit up with bent knees. Alternatively, sit onto a rolled up blanket or a pillow so that your hips can be higher, and then maybe you can find some straightness in your legs there. You want the pelvic bowl to be upright here. So there's the sense of low back coming in and up. It's almost like you're already forward folding here. It's more forward than back. So sit up nice and tall. This pose usually feels kind of awkward if you don't sit like this. You're just making the letter L shape. And try to place your hands onto the floor. If you're sitting up really high, that might be difficult, but hands onto the floor. Push your hands down and then keep lifting the chest. Just breathe. We'll pick up the right foot. Hug the knee in, cross it over the left knee, and then hug your right knee with your left arm, spin around, tap your fingers down towards the floor, lift the chest, look behind you. So the more that you lean back, the more space you might find. If you're sitting upright and giving yourself a hug and barely even leaning onto those back fingertips, you'll be a little bit more compressed. We're finding length in the spine and twist in the spine, even including the gaze as well. So turn your gaze on a single point on the wall or the floor. And then unravel, come back into the letter L. Pick up the left foot, knee in, cross it over. The whole foot is down. Hug it in. So right arm over left knee. Spin the left arm behind. And then roll that bicep out. So rather than just giving the twist, and see how my shoulders internally rotated, you want to do the opposite. Roll it open. Open it all up. So hug in, lift up, open. And then feel that your head is balanced right over your hips. Looking behind you, still breathing. So finding that length with the inhale, twist with the exhale. And you're using both arms for leverage to get you into this twist. On your inhale, come back. Straighten out your legs. We'll find a forward fold here, so you can always keep sitting on your blanket pillow, or you can, I like doing this, putting the pillow under the knees. And then find yourself on your sit bones, same thing, rather than leaning back, sit up super tall, and then start to lean forward. So it's like you're creating length here. Place yourself onto your thighs. You can grab hold of your feet depending on how high your knees are here. And then drop your elbows beside your shins. Lastly, this is where you'll feel a lot in the neck and the upper shoulders. You can start to bring your face between your shins. Maybe forearms drop down to the mat. If you're there for some time, taking some breaths, you want to try it without the pillow. You can still keep the knees bent, do it, and then maybe 1 foot at a time, try to straighten them. Maybe the legs will just never go straight, and that is all right, because it's a lot of flexibility in the hamstrings to get that full forward fold there. But you're not trying to go the whole way, you're trying to find where the sensation is, and then can you breathe inside the sensation and use those exhales, especially this long, smooth exhale, to open up and settle in. Slowly come back up. Nice. Remove. You can keep the pillow. We're gonna make our way down onto our back again. So we've just, found some length, found some core work, some back work, some back bending, some forward bending, some twisting. So that gives you the full spectrum of what you can do with your spine here, even including some of the arms and things as well. These are all some of my basic favorite ways to get into a better posture and an awareness into your body of like what feeling engaged and efficient in your energy feels like. So with all that in mind, our class is finished. Our last pose is Shavasana. Take your pillow under your knees, which is nice and comfortable. Lie down onto your back. If there's anything that you feel like you need to get out of your system, like maybe you can twist from side to side onto your back, or we haven't done much of the hip stretches, but you can always cross one foot over, hug knee in, do some of these. I like to encourage, every class to take the last minute before Shavasana to get in tune with their body and find out what it is that you need to just get out of your system before you can fully relax into the floor. Take everything out, drop in, drop your head, get super comfortable, and all of the work is done. All you have left to do is breathe and just be here. So we've taken a journey with our awareness into our body, into all different parts of our body. And now that we're not moving at all, we still want to keep that awareness in our body, mind, unit as a whole. So rather than drifting off in thought and thinking about what you're going to do next, can you just take a minute or so to rest your body? This is super good for just letting the practice absorb into your muscles and your bones. It's taking this minute to chill, do nothing, but feel everything. You can stay here as long as you like. If you're ready to move again, just make some movements to your fingers and toes, roll your wrists and your ankles around, and then stretch your arms overhead. Take a full breath in. Hug your knees into your chest. Give yourself a big hug, squeeze, sway from side to side. And then roll over onto the side, come all the way up, cross-legged, kneeling, whatever your choice is. Sit up super tall wherever you've landed in your seat. Bring your hands together. Thank yourself for making it through this entire practice and taking the time to what I think is the ultimate form of self-care that you can do. Thank you for joining me. Namaste.